in a beautiful town of Ibako, where the air smelled of blooming hibiscus and the streets bustled with the laughter of children, twin brothers Idris and Eze began their lives. Idris, with his rich, dark skin, and Eze, with his lighter complexion, grew up in a household where beauty and praise were often reserved for Eze. Their home, a small but lively place with clay walls and a wooden veranda, was filled with the aroma of spices from their mother's cooking. Though they were inseparable, their experiences in life were worlds apart. Idris was a very brilliant child at school, but he felt overshadowed by Eze's effortless charm and the preferential treatment he received from their mother. This difference cast a long shadow over their lives. Their mother, Lami, showed more love for Eze. Each time he wore his new outfit, Lami would say, "Oh, Eze, you look so handsome. You light up the room," but would tell Idris, "You would be more attractive if you were lighter, skinned like your brother." Idris, in his quiet corner, watched this praise with a heavy heart. The corner of their home was lined with books, some worn from repeated reading, where Idris found solace. He often found himself in the background. His skin, darker and richer, seemed to disappear behind Eze's glowing presence. Idris's achievements were often overshadowed by his brother's charm because his mother rarely acknowledged them. One day, Idris came home, excited about winning his art competition at school. He showed his work to his parent, his hands slightly smudged with charcoal from his latest sketch. "This is good, Idris. You need to keep up because you have to work harder to be accepted," said his mother, glancing at it briefly before returning to her knitting. Idris's heart sank as he retreated to his corner, his dreams of recognition melting away. His mother's favoritism was a constant painful reminder of his place. One quiet evening, as the sun cast an amber glow over their small front yard, Eze approached Idris while he was working on his new painting, his fingers steady as he blended the colors carefully. "Idris, are you okay? Mama doesn't always see how amazing you are." "But I do," Eze said with genuine concern, his voice barely above a whisper. Idris managed a small smile, grateful for his brother's support. He dipped his brush into the water, watching the ripples distort his reflection. Idris and Eze attended the same school, a large colonial era building with ivy creeping up its old walls, but the situation at school mirrored what Idris experienced at home. Teachers and classmates were drawn to Eze's charm. He became very popular at school. Eze's lighter skin earned him admiration and popularity. Idris noticed that the light-skinned boys were praised more, had more friends, got more attention from girls, were the teacher's favorites, and could break rules and not get punished. He faced isolation and bullying from his peers. They called him Midnight because his skin was very dark. During group activities, he was frequently left behind, chosen last with the other dark-skinned boys, or given less important roles. During lunchtime at school, Idris sat on a bench outside, drawing on a paper. The old tree nearby swayed gently, its leaves rustling like whispers. Some boys walked past Idris, but when they saw him sitting there, they told him, "You should stay away from the sun. You're already too dark," and they all laughed. Most times, the popular girls would pretend to be nice to him so they could get closer to his brother, Eze. When Eze's friends visited their home, they would tell Idris to use lighter foundation on his face so he could be more attractive. One of them even said, "You're too handsome for a dark-skinned boy." In Idris's class, there was a very beautiful and popular girl. Her name was Zara. She had a kind smile and gentle eyes, often wearing delicate bracelets that jingled when she moved. Idris admired her from afar, hoping she would notice him. Each time Zara spoke to Idris in class, it was always for his notes, or she would ask him to teach her what she did not understand in class. Zara's friends would always make comments like, "Zara, you should go for Eze. He's so much more your type." She would blush and laugh, but it was clear her attention was focused on Eze, not Idris. Not Idris. Idris tried to suppress his feelings, but he felt rejected. One day Zara was sitting under a tree, absent-mindedly twirling a strand of her hair. Idris summoned up the courage to go talk to her. As soon as he said, "Hello, Zara," she interrupted him. "What does your brother like? How can I make him be my friend?" she asked, her eyes bright with excitement. This was so hurtful. He turned around and walked away, his heart feeling heavier than ever. Idris's best friend, Obi, a loyal companion who had been with him through thick and thin, had known him since childhood. They often spent afternoons together by the river, skipping stones and talking about life. Idris had quietly harbored feelings for him for a very long time, but Obi seemed only interested in the light-skinned boys at school. Idris watched him date several boys who were often mean and rude to him. One day, Obi came to Idris's house, looking visibly upset. He sat down on the couch, burying his face in his hands. The scent of freshly baked bread lingered in the air, but neither of them seemed to notice. "Idris, I'm tired. I'm so tired of being treated like I'm not good enough," he said. Idris sat beside him, his heart aching for him. "What happened?" he asked, his voice soft and gentle. "I was with Lami. She treated me like I was nothing. I have been giving her all my lunch money. She used me, and today she dumped me." Idris's heart ached for him. "You deserve so much better. Don't let one person's bad behavior make you feel unworthy," Idris said, placing a reassuring hand on his friend's shoulder. Obi nodded, wiping his tears. "Thank you, Idris. You always know how to make me feel better. You're my best friend. I just want a partner like the other guys in my group." "Everyone has someone for the dance except me," he complained, looking down at his worn-out sneakers. "It looks like all the girls are taken, and there is none left for me," Idris said, his tone carrying a trace of sorrow. "But I'm here. I have no boyfriend and no partner for the dance," Idris said, summoning up the courage to say that, his voice barely above a whisper. "What? No, you're just Idris. You're my friend. If I go with you, people will think you're my girlfriend, and I will not have any more chance to have any girl as a girlfriend. I need a real girlfriend, not you." Idris's heart was so broken. His friend, Obi, didn't see him as desirable or worthy of being a boyfriend. The soft glow of the evening sun seeped through the curtains as he excused himself from Obi and went into his room to cry for a while, muffling his sobs with his pillow. Despite the lack of recognition from their mother and the outside world, Idris had one steadfast supporter, his father, Mr. Dike. Unlike Lami, their mother, Mr. Dike, saw and valued Idris's talent and potential. One day, Idris came home bursting with excitement. He had won first place in school. He ran to his dad, Mr. Dike, who was reading the newspaper at the kitchen table, a steaming cup of tea beside him. Papa, look! I won first place, Idris said, his eyes shining with hope. Mr. Dike looked up from his paper, his face breaking into a proud smile. That's wonderful. I knew you were special, he said, giving him a warm hug. Your talent is truly remarkable. Idris's heart swelled with pride and relief. His father's encouragement was a balm to his wounded spirit. He always took the time to notice his achievements, no matter how small, and his support for him was a constant source of strength. You bring so much joy into our lives. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise, his dad said. Idris's eyes filled with tears. He had longed for his mother's approval, but his father's unwavering support was a precious comfort. Thank you, Papa. It means so much to me. One day, while walking past the kitchen, Idris overheard a conversation between his parents. His mother's voice was filled with frustration as she said, Eze's lighter skin seemed to open more doors for him. I just wish Idris's talents were recognized more. Mr. Dike's response was calm but firm. Lami, say, our son is very brilliant. We need to support him even if others don't see it. He's going to shine no matter how long it takes. He's going to shine no matter how long it takes. After graduating high school, Idris looked for a job in the fashion industry. He faced a lot of rejection and prejudice. His designs were so good, but big brands only wanted to buy his designs without giving him credit for them or allowing him to model his designs in the fashion show. He was so frustrated. The city streets buzzed with activity, yet Idris felt like a shadow walking through the crowd, unseen and unappreciated. One evening, after a particularly tough day, Idris sat at his desk, exhausted. His brother, Eze, knocked on the door and entered, the room dimly lit by the lamp on Idris's table. Idris, you have been working so hard. Maybe you need a break, he suggested. Concern etched on his face. Idris looked up, his eyes tired but determined. I cannot afford to take a break. I have to make it. Eze hugged him gently. I believe in you, Idris. You've always been stronger than you know. Despite the discouraging environment, Idris persevered. He continued to work hard, often staying late into the night to refine his designs. The quiet hum of his sewing machine became his companion, his sketches piling up beside him. Eze helped him publish his designs on his social media account. Soon, people started seeking him out to make their clothes for them. He was exceptional. As he made more clothes for people, he got more recognition, and more famous people and celebrities began to ask him to make clothes for them. He poured his heart into the designs, blending traditional African elements with modern aesthetics. The companies that rejected him lost most of their famous clients to Idris. He launched his fashion line and organized his own fashion show. All his celebrity clients and famous friends came out to support him. With his new connections, his brand grew and was known across Africa. One day, he met Obi at an event. The music was lively, and laughter filled the air. Obi was so happy to see Idris. I have been following your work, Idris. You've done amazing things, and it's inspiring to see how much you've made a difference. Thank you so much, Obi. Idris responded to him, his smile polite but reserved. After the event, Obi asked him for his house address and phone number. I would like to take you out on a date. But Idris smiled at him and politely turned him down. Idris was so accomplished. With his new connections, he decided to help his community. He launched a campaign to build in his high school, where he employed the best teachers for fashion designing, art, and other creative skills. All his celebrity friends and wealthy friends donated graciously. He organized competitions, where he gave out scholarships to winners. During the launch, the school asked him to give a speech. He arrived with his entourage and his brother. He was the most accomplished. After his speech, all the boys and girls that used to look down on him went closer to look down on him, went closer to reintroduce themselves and seek connections with him. They all wanted to be his friend and asked to exchange phone numbers. He smiled and politely declined, giving them his phone number. In the car, his brother laughed and said, "Idris, you're so popular now in school." "Yeah, I can see that. They all love me now because of what they can get from me," he replied. They both laughed and drove off. His mother, Lami, who was so proud of what Idris had become, hosted a family reunion, invited relatives and friends from his past so she could show off her famous son and all his achievements. The house was filled with chatter, the aroma of delicious food wafting through the air. After the party, she spoke with Idris. "Please, Idris, forgive my ignorance. I am sorry that I did not give you the love and support you deserved." Idris was happy for his mother's apology, and that gave him closure. They both began to work towards healing their relationship. The story of Idris teaches us a valuable lesson. Never underestimate or look down on others based on superficial traits like appearance. True worth lies in one's talents, perseverance, and kindness. Those who once ignored or belittled Idris later sought his favor when he became successful, proving that life is unpredictable. Always treat people with respect and kindness, because no one knows what the future holds. Thank you for watching my channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring and thought-provoking stories. See you in the next video. Once upon a time, there lived a very beautiful girl named Kara. Kara lived with her parents in a very small village, surrounded by lush green hills and a sparkling river that flowed through the valley. Her mother was once the most beautiful woman in the village, who was the delight of many, as all the eligible bachelors in the village wanted her to be their bride. Kara's father was considered the luckiest man in the village to have married Kara's mother, as not even the prince of the village was able to win her heart. Kara grew up to be more beautiful than her mother, with long flowing hair and a radiant smile, and was admired by all the maidens in the village. One day, Kara was returning home from the stream, carrying a clay pot filled with water, when she saw a giant snake staring directly at her. She was terrified, as she had never seen a snake that big in her life. The snake gently approached her, and Kara screamed at the top of her voice, shutting her eyes in fear. By the time she opened her eyes, the snake had gone, and Kara took to her heels as she ran back home in fear. Kara got home and told her mother what happened, and her mother comforted her, as she was glad that nothing had happened to her daughter. As days turned into weeks, strange occurrences began to take place. Kara would often find herself in dangerous situations only to be miraculously saved by the snake. Once, Kara was about to step on a venomous scorpion hidden under dried leaves when the snake appeared out of nowhere, hissing loudly to alert her. Kara caught sight of the dangerous scorpion and the snake hissing in front of her. She was so frightened and returned home. The thought of the snake could not leave her mind, and Kara wondered what the snake wanted with her. As night came, Kara retired to bed and had a very terrifying dream where she saw herself as a snake, hissing and moving next to the snake she had always seen in the bushes. She woke up terrified as she ran to her mother's room to tell her all about her horrifying dream. Her mother comforted her and assured her that it was only a dream. The next evening, Kara went to the forest to collect some firewood, humming a tune her mother had taught her, when the snake appeared in front of her. Filled with fear, she ran a short distance and noticed that the tree branch above where she was just standing fell to the ground, missing her by mere inches. Kara turned to look at the snake and noticed that it slithered away quietly without harming her. In a state of confusion, Kara decided to follow the snake, as it was evident that the snake was there to protect her and not to harm her. She followed the snake quietly as it guided her to its cave. Kara lacked the courage to approach the snake, so she ran back home in fear. Little did she know that someone had trailed them from behind when they heard her scream. A maiden in the village named Mira had heard Kara's loud scream and rushed to check what it was. When she saw Kara and the huge snake staring at each other from a distance, filled with curiosity, Mira followed Kara and the snake, as she wondered what connection Kara had with the snake, Mira then decided to spread rumors in the village, saying that Kara had some dark powers that made her control snakes. She told villagers how a snake in the forest saved Kara from a fallen branch. Mira's gossip quickly spread through the village like wildfire. Whispers and hushed conversations erupted, with some villagers becoming suspicious of Kara. They wondered if Kara was in alliance with dark forces, whilst others believed it was simply a desperate attempt by Mira to discredit Kara out of jealousy. This, however, did not deter the young men in the village who had intentions of seeking Kara's hand in marriage. Kara was by far the most beautiful maiden in the village, and the men were all blinded by her beauty. A young man named Ikena came to ask for Kara's hand in marriage. Ikena was a very handsome farmer with a great track record in the village. He met Kara at the last concluded festival, where she had danced gracefully, and since then they had been spending time getting to know one another. Kara had rejected all the marriage proposals from other eligible bachelors in the village, as Ikena promised to marry her. Ikena met with Kara's parents and family and declared his intention to marry Kara, and a date for the marriage introduction was set. Kara fantasized about her life with Ikena, as he was everything she had ever dreamed of. The day of the marriage introduction arrived, and Kara looked absolutely beautiful in her traditional attire, adorned with beads and flowers. Everyone gathered to witness the marriage ceremony when suddenly the huge snake slithered into their midst, scaring everyone away, including Ikena, who never spoke to Kara again. This broke Kara, as the whole village avoided her, believing she had some connection with dark forces. Kara ran away from her village to live with her mother's best friend, Nara, who was her godmother, living in the neighboring village. This was a great escape for Kara, as she could no longer stand all the happenings in her village. Kara spoke to her godmother about the giant snake and how the snake managed to ruin her life. Her godmother then came up with a plan for them to kill the snake before it ruined Kara's life even further. They journeyed back to Kara's village, and Kara led her godmother to the cave where the snake lived. The snake was fast asleep, so Kara and her godmother quietly approached the snake. Kara then raised her knife and tried to plunge the knife into the head of the snake when it suddenly woke up and bit Nara, scaring Kara, who mistakenly slit her hand with the knife, spilling her blood all over the snake. To everyone's astonishment, the snake began to change. Its scales dissolved into human skin, and in a matter of seconds, it transformed into a beautiful girl who looked so much like Kara. Kara's heart raced as she stared at the girl in disbelief. She could not understand why the girl looked so much like her. So she ran home to tell her mother how the giant snake turned into a girl that looked exactly like her. Kara's mother then revealed to her that when she gave birth to Kara, everyone was in jubilation when suddenly she felt an urge to push. She pushed once more, and a snake came out, scaring everyone in the room. Kara's mother took the snake to the forest and abandoned it in the forest, as she did not want anyone in the village to find out about what had happened. Overwhelmed with emotions, Kara and her mother returned to the forest to find the girl. When they arrived at the forest, they saw the girl who looked frightened and confused. Next to her was Kara's godmother, Nara, who was now acting weird. She had run mad, and when she saw Kara and her mother, she began to make shocking revelations. She revealed that many years ago, Kara's mother took something that belonged to her. She said to Kara, "Your mother and I were best of friends, and I was in love with a man who fell deeply in love with your mother. Out of jealousy, when I heard that your mother was pregnant with you, I visited an evil juju to turn your mother's unborn baby into a snake. Little did we know that your mother was pregnant with twins. When your mother gave birth, I thought the charm did not work, as she had a healthy baby. Little did I know that one of her babies came out as a snake. I only got to find this out when you told me about the snake that had been appearing to you in the forest. I visited my juju man, and he revealed to me that the snake was your mother's second child. I then decided to come up with a plan to kill the snake to hide my tracks," Kara's godmother said, as she began to laugh so loudly she had been struck with madness. Kara believed that her sister's transformation was behind her godmother's madness. That was how Kara realized that the snake she had been seeing in the forest was her twin sister. They got to know each other better, and Kara's twin then revealed to her the reason why she did everything within her power to end Kara's marriage with Ikenna. Ikenna had made a bet with his friends to marry Kara, and he did everything right to win Kara's heart and also win his bet. Kara's twin knew that if she allowed the marriage to proceed, Kara would be subjected to a life of misery and disgrace. So she had to intervene to save her sister from hurt. When Kara heard this, she apologized to her twin sister and hugged her tightly. Her heart ached for the pain and loneliness her sister must have endured as a snake. The whole village was astonished by the turn of events, and Kara's twin sister was welcomed into the family with open arms. From then on, Kara and her sister lived happily, their bond stronger than ever, and the village marveled at the extraordinary tale of Kara and her long-lost twin. The snake turned into a girl. The lesson from this story is a profound warning. Jealousy and envy can lead to irreversible harm, not only to others but to yourself as well. Acting out of spite and harboring malice will only create regret and sorrow. Instead, embrace kindness, empathy, and forgiveness. What we give to the world comes back to us, so choose to spread positivity and love. Let this story remind us to be mindful of our actions and intentions. Celebrate the successes and happiness of others, for a heart free of envy is a heart at peace. Thank you for watching my channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for more interesting and captivating stories. See you in the next video. That she was being followed, filled with terror, she ran home and locked herself in her hut. After a few minutes, she heard a loud bang on her door, and this sent shivers down her spine as she feared that the evil creature was after her. The moonlight streamed faintly through the cracks in the wooden walls, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move. She kept silent as the banging continued for a few minutes and stopped. Still shaking in fear, she remained in her hut when she suddenly heard a voice talking behind her, its tone soft yet chilling. Once upon a time, in the busy Olo market, lived a popular hair braider who was known as the silent braider. The villagers arrived at the market one morning and met her sitting in the corner, braiding the hair of a woman. They were all shocked as no one in the village had ever seen her before. Her presence seemed mysterious, as she carried an air of quiet authority. However, the woman never uttered a word to anyone, so the people named her the Silent Braider as they all believed that she was deaf and dumb. Shockingly, on her first day in the market, several women stood in a long queue as they waited to get their hair braided by the strange woman. She braided their hair so beautifully, and her unique braiding style, with intricate patterns resembling ancient symbols, attracted more women to her little corner. The other hair braiders in the village became so jealous, as all their customers no longer came to them for their hair. They all preferred to braid their hair with the silent braider, despite waiting in long queues, and this made the other braiders wonder who the silent braider was and where she had come from. One day, a hair braider named Laura decided to stay back late into the night to trail the silent braider to her hut. Laura was so curious to know who the silent braider was and where she lived, so she waited back in the market, hoping to follow her home once she was done. However, after a few hours of waiting, Laura slipped into a very deep sleep. She woke up a few minutes later and noticed that the silent braider had gone. Laura was so disappointed and wondered when she fell asleep. She decided to try again the next night. She returned home so sad and went straight to bed, her mind racing with questions about the silent braider. Laura had a dream where she saw the silent braider shouting hysterically at a group of people who were locked up in a cage. The cage was surrounded by a dense fog, making it hard to see what lay beyond it. Laura woke up so terrified as she recognized most of the villagers as people who the silent braider had recently braided their hair. She was so confused and wondered what her dream meant. She got to the market the next morning and met a group of women waiting to have their hair braided. Laura felt a strong urge to warn the women about what she saw in her dream, but when she approached them, they perceived her to be a jealous woman who could not withstand the fact that the people preferred the silent braider to herself. Lara retreated back to her corner as she felt so terrible about what had just happened. She began to doubt herself as she watched the silent braider braid the women's hair one after the other. At that point, Laura began to feel as though she was truly jealous of the silent braider, and this troubled her as she decided to move to another market the next morning. As the silent braider's queue continued to build up, a young woman named Marie, who had been on the queue for hours, sat down to braid her hair. Marie was new to the village and was in search of a good braider when she was directed to the village market. She arrived at the market early and met a very long queue. She wondered why so many people were queuing for only one woman when other braiders sat idly waiting for customers. This looked strange to Marie, who decided to also wait in the queue for her turn. After a few hours, it got to Marie's turn, and the braider gestured for her to sit down. As the silent braider began to braid Marie's hair, Marie drifted into a very deep sleep and found herself being dragged into a very deep sleep and found herself being dragged into a cage by the silent braider. The air in the dream was thick and suffocating, filled with the cries of those locked up. Marie struggled with the braider for some minutes as she broke free and began to run. As she was running, she saw a lot of people locked up in a big cage, and this terrified her as she suddenly woke up from her slumber. Marie had never been this terrified in her entire life. She wondered what the dream was about, but kept calm as she noticed that the silent braider was still braiding her hair. Marie then reached out for her purse and brought out a small mirror to look at her hair when she caught sight of a terrifying monster standing behind her. The creature's eyes glowed a menacing red, and its presence exuded a chilling malevolence. She was terrified at what she saw and screamed at the top of her voice as she stood up in fear. The people wondered what could have happened, and before Marie could voice out what she saw, the braider disappeared into thin air, and everyone opened their mouths in shock as they witnessed the hair braider's disappearance. The people were petrified as they began to question who she was. Marie explained what she saw to them, and everyone could not believe that an evil creature had been braiding their hair for months. Marie, determined to get to the root of the matter, looked around and saw the hair braider's wooden comb on the ground. She picked it up and began to examine it. She saw some weird symbols on the comb and wondered what they could mean. Sensing that there was something strange about the comb, she decided to seek the guidance of a very powerful woman. She arrived at the powerful woman's hut, wielding the comb in her hand, and immediately the powerful woman caught sight of the comb. Her eyes widened in shock. The hut was filled with the aroma of burning herbs, and strange artifacts hung from the walls, giving the space an aura of mystique. She explained that the markings were symbols of a very dark spirit who traps his subjects and subjects them to pain and suffering, and revealed that anyone whose hair has had any contact with the comb would live a very painful and sad life, filled with misery and misfortune. On hearing this, Marie was terrified at what would become of her now that the braider had used the comb on her hair. She asked the powerful woman what she could do, and the woman revealed to her that the only way to reverse the curse of the evil comb was to trace the comb's usage to the first person in the village whose hair was ever braided with the comb. The powerful woman then told Marie that once the person is found, the comb should be used to loosen the person's braids, as that will break the curse and set everyone free from bondage. Marie, now armed with the knowledge of how to break the curse, embarked on a mission to trace the comb's usage back to its root. She consulted with the people who sold items in the market as well as other hair braiders, but no one could recall the first person who ever warmed the stool of the silent braider. Marie decided to return back home, but had a strange feeling that she was being followed. Filled with terror, she ran home and locked herself in her hut. The night was eerily quiet. with only the faint sound of crickets echoing in the background. After a few minutes, Mari heard a loud bang on her door, and this sent shivers down her spine as she feared that the evil creature was after her. Mari kept silent as the banging continued for a few minutes and stopped. Still shaking in fear, Marie remained in her hut when she suddenly heard a voice talking behind her. Marie turned in fear and saw a pale-looking woman standing right behind her. "Who are you, and how did you get into my hut?" Marie asked as her voice trembled with fear. The pale woman introduced herself as Lida, saying that she got into the hut through an open window. "What do you want from me?" Mari asked, and Lida revealed to her that she was the one that Mari had been looking for. Leda revealed how things changed for the worse after the silent braider braided her hair on that fateful morning. She watched as her life crumbled before her eyes and wondered what could have gone wrong. All her children fell sick and died within a short period of time, and her husband left her because he believed that she was cursed. Little did she know that the silent braider was behind all her misfortune. Mary was so happy to have found the woman that she had been looking for. She convinced Lida to follow her to the powerful woman's hut, and when they arrived at the hut, the powerful woman asked for the evil comb, which she used to loosen Lida's braids. As she was loosening the braids, the evil creature appeared, and the powerful woman began to recite some powerful words. As she continued to loosen the braids, with every stroke of the comb on Lida's hair, the evil creature groaned in extreme pain. Shadows in the hut seemed to dance wildly as the creature writhed and snarled. Mary watched as the evil creature dissipated into thin air. After the powerful woman successfully loosened all of Lida's braids, the powerful woman, with a smile on her face, declared that the village was now free from the evil grip of the evil creature. All the innocent people whose spirits were once caged by the evil braider were now free, and the people jubilated as they danced and showed their gratitude for their freedom. The market of Olu, once shrouded in misery and fear, now thrived as the other hair braiders, who had been overshadowed by the silent braider, regained their customers, and the village returned to its lively self. The lesson to be learned from this story is that blindly following trends without questioning or understanding them can be so dangerous. We should all learn to be discerning and seek knowledge rather than blindly following the crowd. Also, trust your instincts and don't dismiss warning signs, as our intuition serves as a valuable guide to keep us away from impending danger. The story serves as a valuable lesson to remind us of the dangers of blindly following trends without questioning or understanding them. It teaches the importance of being discerning and seeking knowledge instead of simply conforming to what everyone else is doing. The silent braider's tale warns us to trust our instincts and never dismiss warning signs, as our intuition can often guide us away from impending danger. By being cautious and attentive to our surroundings, we can avoid falling victim to harmful situations or manipulative forces. Thank you for watching my channel, and I invite you to explore more interesting and captivating stories here. Stay curious and stay safe. In a quiet town called Zora, there lived a beautiful girl named Anna. She was admired by everyone in the village. Men from far and wide came to ask for her hand in marriage. No one could deny her beauty, Her glowing skin, her radiant smile, and kind eyes made her the talk of the town. Every morning she would walk to the market square, her presence lighting up the entire street. But no matter how many men asked her to marry them, Anna couldn't say yes.